All the comments were like, dude, they're just giving a mic to anyone nowadays, aren't they? The worst is when you post a video and your friends have seen the video and they haven't liked it, and you're like, ah. If a week goes by and I don't do anything, like if I'm just like having a normal week as like a 23-year-old, I'm like, I don't have any content this week. Following me on Twitter is not really beneficial.
Yeah, so this is kind of weird. It's something new that like I want to do on my channel, so you're the first of its kind, and I appreciate you for being here.
Of course, man. I'm excited. I'm excited to do this.
Yeah, I think I also have to give you your like roses for this, because roses and thorns, as always. I hate roses and thorns, but because I think like I really admire the consistency that you have with yours. I think with your podcast, and I think we've talked about this, and that's why I have you on the show, is because I want to have creators on this show that kind of are doing their own thing in their element, regardless of money or finances, and they just have like a burning passion for like this stuff. And I think you're one of those people like myself.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, we've had a lot of conversations about this before. But yeah, we could talk about consistency a little bit.
Because I know like you weren't always really like this, and like you must have started. Oh, well, you started while we were still working together. By the way, like 38 episodes, that's crazy. Like that's only like 14 more until the year's done.
I know. I think about that a lot, dude. Is like, I'm trying to get through this year without missing an episode, and it's hard, to be honest. Like, it's hard every week. Like, I mean, I laugh about it with like my girlfriend because like, you know, it's a podcast, so like, woe is me. You know what I mean? Because like, it's my problem of doing this. Like every time I'm like struggling to find like topics, she's like, "It's a hobby, dude. Like you don't need to be stressing out about it." And I'm like,
Right.
"But I put that much pressure on myself to like post every week because like,
Yeah, for sure.
I know that if I miss a week, I'm just gonna like fall off the wagon and not do it." And so like last week, I mean, I talked to you about it, but for like the people listening, like last week was like one of my worst episodes in my opinion. Like I just like wasn't like locked in. I wasn't like flowing well. Like it just wasn't good. But I knew that like I was like, I have to post this episode. I have to just like do it because otherwise like I'm gonna fall off. But yeah, dude, I'm just trying to be consistent with it. I know it's like more of a long game rather than like trying to just blow up as soon as possible. But
For sure. What do you like? What do you think about like when you're, or do you try not to think about the consistency of it too much and just really just be a doer? And like, what do you think like drives you?
I think like that's a good question. I think like the end goal, I guess, really drives me, and like seeing like a way that this could be potentially like a full-time job for me. But I try not to think about that too much just because like it's hard to, if you keep thinking about that all the time and just like this is gonna be my job, this is gonna be my job, then it just stresses you out and puts a lot of pressure on yourself. Because then like if there's times when like I'm feeling burnt out and I'm like second guessing myself, then it's like, well, if I don't want to do this, then I could just step back at any time. But I don't want to put that pressure on myself to be like, it's this or bust. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, dude, I don't know. I just like started doing it because I was like, you know, like I have like a bunch of goals in terms of like, you know, because it's a comedic. I mean, I try and make it comedic, but some of my jokes just fall flat. You know what I mean? But I have like exterior goals in terms of like, you know, like I want to be a comic, but I also want to be like, I want to do what like other people in like this space are doing where they have a network, a bunch of podcasts on it. Like I want to do that as well. So, I mean, the first step is just start doing it and like see if I like it. And I like it. It's just the pressure every week of like trying to come up with an idea, multiple ideas, and then riffing off them enough to where it's funny so that I can clip it so that like it could drive people to like, it's this whole thing where it's like, dude, it's hard.
Right.
That's the thing that I realized the most is like, this is actually like really hard. Like, it's not just some guy turning on his camera and be like, all right, guys, today's the podcast. It's like, no, dude, you have to come up with stuff, dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think like individual podcasts like you, it's like you don't have guests are not your primary factor in your pod. And I think it's I don't know. I told you this before. I love like your comedic timing and stuff like that. And I listen like on and off pretty frequently, even though I don't, you know, comment or anything like that. I think you're gonna find that with majority of people, for the like at least for the beginning part. And then yeah, I was like I ended up finishing your most recent one as well. With I thought it was pretty funny. I thought it was good. I like how you've been getting into the AI like voice bits as well recently with Joe and Gary.
I've been trying to do a little bit more of that just because, like, I don't know, that's like hot right now. So I'm just trying to, but dude, sometimes it's tough, man. Like, I've been like having to do that whole voice thing and then doing it on the fly. Like, Alfred's talking about, or Al was talking about, like, my last episode when I was just like, the one I was mentioning, I was just like, just so feeling so drained. And at the end of it, I was fucking around with AI. And I just, at the end, I was like, all right, this episode's done. Like, stop listening to this. I'm out. Like, bye. I'll see you next week.
Yeah, it's pretty funny too. I was thinking about that as well, like, because it's like I feel that like same burnout that you have sometimes. Like, dude, I do not want to do this, and it's like, how is like this illusion like still going on with all these people? Think about like all the comedians with podcasts, right? It's like, how do they like just feel so good all the time, and they're just riffing like a lot? They probably have days like this for sure. But then I think about it, I'm like, dude, they're doing like this is their 9 to 5. Like they're going to work. They're getting in the zone, and it's like this is like their meat and potatoes of the day. Like for us, it's like the side bits. It's like this is our side course. This is not our main course, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's where I've like been realizing that it's not like when I first started, I thought I was just gonna be like, oh, it's gonna be easy. Every week I'll just talk, and then I quickly realized like, oh, this is actually like really hard. I know I already said that, but in terms of like comedians too, like I can't imagine like what that's like. Like I mean. The people I was mentioning earlier, like they have networks that they have multiple podcasts on. They're talking multiple times a week, like multiple hours. Like, dude, I don't know how they do that. But
yeah,
burnout's real, dude. It's like something that I'm starting to realize. Like, I want this to be my hobby, but at a certain point, like, I can feel burnout creeping in, and I don't know how to do that. Like, I see different structures of release schedules. Like, some people do seasons, you know, and that's a viable option. But I'm also worried that if I do seasons, it's not going to be enough for people, and they're going to quote unquote, I don't want to say like forget about me, but like in that aspect, it's just like something I'm battling. Like, I don't know how to do this without feeling burnt out, but I also want to like still feel some sort of like fire and passion each week rather than just like feeling stressed and anxious.
Yeah, I think like the like burnout's like a super common factor for a lot of creators, but I think number one, it's not like I don't have empathy for people that like feel the burnout. You should definitely like be taking breaks, so they say. Like, but I also see the other side of that coin. It's like, no, it's like we're here to get this. Like, this is the show. So it's like if you're not like grinding it out every week or whatever it is, then it's like I don't know. It's like you can't gain traction by not doing it.
No, I couldn't agree more. And like sometimes when like I mentioned earlier, when my girlfriend's like, you know, this is a hobby, like we laugh about it, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, no, but if I start thinking like that, like this is a hobby, which it is at the end of the day. But if I start thinking like, oh, this is a hobby, I can just slack off. Like then it turns into like me not putting 100% into this. So there's just is a balance, but at the same time, you need to kind of, it's almost like you have to toe on the side of like it being unhealthy for it to like end up paying off. Cause those are the times that pays off for people.
I will say this though, I know like for myself, I think you could probably find parallels to this of like, I do a lot of the pre-production, like too close to the filming time where it's like, it's either the day before or the day of. And it's like, oh, this is rushed or.
Yeah. Like I agree with that. I did, for this last episode that I thought was bad, I did the pre-production stuff like day of. And in my head, I was like, oh, I have so much stuff to talk about. This is going to go great. And I did, and then sure enough, I like started filming, and I was talking about it, and I was like, "Wow, this sucks. This is bad, man."
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the secret is.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely are our worst critics though, because it's like, dude, when I watch your stuff and I hear you start to go down that like kind of rabbit hole, like I don't feel that way about like when you, it's like, I think as a comedian too, like I probably can't speak to this because I'm not a comedian, but like from our overall perspective, it looks like you're supposed to be digging deeper and deeper and deeper, like into like the scab, whatever it is. It's like you do a pretty good job of that.
Well, thank you. I agree though. I'm not on that like sense either, but like that's definitely what you're supposed to do is just keep digging. And sometimes I start digging, but it's like I'm digging like the gold is like 200 yards to my right, and I'm just digging in left field, just like I think it's here, and then I keep going down, and I'm digging like all the way, and then I pop out in China, and I'm like, okay, what the hell? I was so far off, and then I just have to bail, dude. That's the thing that sucks too, is like you throw out an idea and it's recording, so like I could cut it out and be a bitch and be like, well, I'm just gonna remove that, but I'm like, nah, dude, you guys get the raw me, like I'm just gonna keep it and like whatever, dude.
Yeah, I mean, but also too, I love when you like bail and like hard stop and then pivot.
It's funny. My dad emailed me one time, and my dad emails me after every episode, dude. He emails me after every episode, which I appreciate. They listen to it, but like he emailed me one time and was like, "You need to get better about transitions." And so it kind of became like a meme because I was like just acknowledging that I was terrible at them. Like I would talk about whatever and then just be like I was talking about a couple weeks ago. I was at an Indian restaurant and I pivoted and was like, "All right, so now I'm gonna talk about the Super Bowl." And like I made like a dumb joke to like connect them, but it was just like so obvious that that wasn't a connection.
Yeah, that is pretty interesting. I know maybe that could go into your pre-production too.
Yeah, I
That
do
could
that a
be-
little bit. I try a little bit to make it like, but another thing that I realized is sorry to like talk about some completely different, but it's kind of on the same topic in terms of like I think the reason why I felt like I almost started feeling like frustrated yesterday with the episode because it just was like not my best. And I know that I have like potential to put out a good episode. Like there was a couple episodes in like the 20s, like I don't know what episodes they were, like 27 maybe, where I was like, that was fire. That was like really good episode. The reason why I get so frustrated is because I've listened to like growing up, I listened to like a bunch of comedians, and then like once like podcasts started to be a thing, I started like completely diving into that, and I kind of stopped listening to like a lot of music and more podcasts. And when I started doing that, I'd pick like certain people that I was just like diehard fans of, and I could find myself like, I might have mentioned this to you earlier, like I found myself like adopting their like sayings and isms and like phrases and stuff, and I'm like, dude, this is bad. Like I found myself like in my own head last episode just being like, dude, you're just portraying him, like you're just like you're just basically doing a shittier version of his podcast. Like this is not good.
I think it's good though too. I mean, like you start to formulate what you like the Dom voice sounds like. I think, I mean, you've came a long way for sure. I mean, yeah, and you could take bits and pieces of those other people, but I mean, like, that's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get what you're saying. It's like almost like it's like a self thing where it's like, you know it, you can hear it and feel it and like think it and see it.
Yeah.
So it's like, it feels magnified.
Definitely. It's just like way more in my head about it just because I'm like, because if someone like, I mean, like, not to like bash not to bash my audience, but I'm about to bash my audience. No, I'm kidding. But a lot of the people that listen to my podcast, like, they're not like, I mean, at least the people that tell me they listen, like, they don't really listen to other comedic podcasts. Like, my girlfriend doesn't really, she listens to like finance podcasts and other stuff. And mine's the only kind of quote unquote comedic one that she listens to. And like, I'm just thinking like someone's going to listen to this and be like, okay, this is just a knockoff of so-and-so. Like, I'm going to turn this off. But in reality, like, that's just in my head. And I have 20 listeners, so it's like, yeah.
All right, let's jump into some like deeper questions a little bit.
Okay.
What do you think like your like for your podcast, or what do you think your 2 to 3 like essential tasks are? I talk about this a lot because it's like if I'm not doing like these when like for creative department, if I'm not filming, I better be editing, and if I'm not editing, I better be like recruiting clientele. Like those are my 3. Like, what do you think your like 2 to 3 are?
Yeah, I guess like if I was to frame it like how you did, I think like if I'm not clipping stuff, because like I mean you see it like every day. You see like, which this is something I also wanted to touch on, is like this is something that I battle with too, is because like I post these clips, right, and they don't get that many views. There's one that got like a 13,000, which is the most I've ever gotten on any video, and I was like pretty pumped about it. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not that much, and I wanted to talk about the fact that like you see so many clips of guys. I saw one today of this guy talking into a mic, and like it's like a meme now that like anyone has a podcast. But I saw this one today of this guy being like, you know, guys don't want to talk to girls. Guys just want to fuck girls. And I was just like, all the comments were like, dude, they're just giving a mic to anyone nowadays, aren't they? And so like I get self-conscious about stuff like that because I'm like, dude, if someone's scrolling and they see a clip of mine, like are they just gonna be like, look at this with a mic? You know what I mean?
So you can't think about that though.
I know, but it's stuff that like crosses my head. And honestly, this is, I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but I'd rather think that way than the opposite. That's like, this is the best thing that's ever been posted on the internet ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's not how you like evolve and grow. So I'd rather be the take that's like, okay, this is what's up about this, and this is what I need to improve, because that's how I'm gonna improve, I guess. I don't know, dude. I have 20 listeners, so maybe.
No, I think that's exactly like an excellent way to improve, is just by like not feedback necessarily, but it's like it is a semi feedback, because it's like, again, it's like finding that wall. It's like, oh, okay, and now I'm on the internet. I see what the clip looks like on Instagram. I see what my friends are seeing. It's like, oh, all right, well, let's sidestep here.
Dude, the worst is when you dude, TikTok tells you who has seen your video. The worst is when you post a video and your friends have seen the video and they haven't liked it, and you're like, oh.
That's funny. I don't think about that. I never look at that. That's interesting though.
I look at that every single time. But yeah, if
So
I guess
clipping is one.
yeah, I guess
So
to answer your
far
question, like if I'm not clipping, like my main priority, I guess, is like after the episode, like clip because like if you think about it, like if I'm just posting this episode, no one's gonna stumble across it on Spotify or
For
Apple or
sure.
wherever. Like, I mean YouTube maybe because their algorithm's a little bit better for video stuff, but like no one like it's so hard to let alone like get someone to stumble across it. And number two, like listen and like pay
Yeah.
attention. And then number three, like come back. Like that's so effing hard, dude. So like the
For
best
sure.
way to do that is just like clips in this day and age. I mean, I can start paying for ads and stuff, but like I'm not at that level yet. I don't really want to start doing that and just start dumping money into this.
No, I don't think you need to though. I
Yeah.
did notice. I wanted to tell you this too. I saw that like you have like a call to action at the beginning of the episode, which is perfect too. But like, so it's like on the last one you had them like, oh, you're like, oh, go follow my Twitter. I was like thinking to myself, well, if you just had them like subscribe, like if you got to make sure like the only call to action they do is the one that's most benefiting the pod.
Yeah, I
Like-
guess following me on Twitter is not really beneficial. Yeah, you're right. I agree with that, dude.
Which I mean, like it's whatever. I mean, it could be that, but because like if you're dropping the episode, it's like, oh, okay, link, and then it's like you could. I mean, that might be the answer. I don't know. I'm just also just throwing out.
No, I
stuff out
agree with
there.
you, dude. Twitter is not the answer. Elon is burning that ship to the ground, so I shouldn't be promoting my Twitter. Also, I don't tweet
Yeah.
on it. So, but yeah, you're right. I agree with that.
Yeah, if you're not
Um,
having like hot takes on there either, if you're just only putting out the episode on there, but
Yeah. So I guess to answer your question that I took 10 minutes and went on a tangent. If it's not clipping, then like usually my process is like I'll clip during the week and then like on the weekends I'll start planning the next episode. And that usually takes me like I usually spend Sunday doing that and then Mondays after work I'll record. So it's like if I'm not recording, I should be clipping, and if I'm not clipping, I should be planning the next episode. It's kind of just like a cycle.
Nice.
And that kind of goes back to like burnout though, just because it's like, dude, like if a week goes by and I don't do anything, like if I'm just like having a normal week as like a 23-year-old, just living my life and nothing weird happens, I'm like, I don't have any content this week, which is such a toxic way to start thinking. Like, dude, that Starbucks thing happened last week where I was talking about how like, dude, the cup sizes, like they suck. Like why does Starbucks make
Yeah.
you say the cup sizes? Like I told Helena, my girlfriend, as soon as it happened, I like pulled out my notes and wrote it down. And I was like, I'm talking about that on the podcast this week. And she
Nice.
just was like, oh, that'd be funny. But like in her head, I know she's just like, wow, you're like probably low on content if you're going to talk about like the barista at Starbucks, dude.
she's like, the well's dry, huh?
Yeah, dude, exactly. So that's
funny.
yeah. But that's like another thing is like my coworkers, I feel like when they, you know, they go about their life or whatever and they like go, this is going to come off so high horsey, so my bad. But when they go about their life or whatever, like, I feel like when I'm thinking of stuff, I'm adding an extra element of like, I need to be doing stuff or thinking of stuff so that I can talk for an hour on Monday.
That's fair.
And like
That's
sometimes
fair.
I wish I could just turn my brain off and be like, well, maybe I could just go like, you know,
Yeah.
get a burger at In-N-Out.
No. Yeah, for sure. You're like, how can I make this story more interesting?
Yeah. So
I used to
I'm
think
just-
about all the time when I was going hard on YouTube.
I'm just always thinking of stuff, and it's just like at some points it's exhausting, dude. Like my mind is just racing, and I'm like, dude, just have a conversation with this person. Don't think about like, just have a conversation, dude. Like literally at Trader Joe's one time, this guy told me something stupid, and I was like, was just waiting for an opportunity so I could pull out my phone and write it down. Where I was like, dude, why don't you just have a conversation with this dumb and just like continue this conversation? So like it's stuff like that where I'm like, okay, dude, maybe you should just be a 23-year-old and just live your life instead of like thinking all the time like, what can I talk about on my podcast?
But it's good content. I mean, like, and that's the pre-production before the pre-production. I mean,
Yeah,
so it's good to
true.
start. It's good to start brainstorming.
True.
That was a long bit. I like that.
Thanks.
To figure out what your essential tasks are. So what did we dwindled it down to? Clipping, pre-production during the weekend, and then did you have a third or no?
Just like doing it, basically.
Filming?
Just like filming it, yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Oh yeah, you just passed 1,000 listeners. Congrats. I have that
Thank
written
you.
down as well.
I mean,
Yeah.
but did you hear what I said about that?
You're like, well, it's not like, it's not 1,000 listeners every episode, but I mean, collectively, I mean,
Dude, but like I'm going to cross that threshold eventually. Like if I just keep posting episodes, like
Yeah.
eventually I get to 1,000 listeners. So that's what I was laughing about because I was like, I
Yeah.
passed 1,000 listeners. I was like, oh, hell yeah, it says 1K now instead of like the number.
mm-hmm.
But then I realized I was like, okay, but that was going to happen regardless because, you know, that's how posting an episode works.
But like it wouldn't have happened regardless if you didn't consistently do it. So I mean that's
True.
dope. I think it's
True.
huge.
Thank you.
When I passed like 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, Ave got me like a little cheesecake.
Dude, that's the
that-
one that's like my holy grail, which like doesn't even seem like a lot of subscribers, but like 1,000 subscribers. If I got that right now, I would quit my job tomorrow. Which is so like couldn't do anything with 1,000 subscribers, but like,
yeah.
dude, if I got 1,000 subscribers, I would be floored. So that's like the holy grail for me right now, and it looks like it's so unattainable because I have 28.
Dude, YouTube Shorts, I think that's the key. Like that's like the super secret key.
It is. And like, dude, but going back to like feeling burnt out and stuff, like consistently trying to clip an episode, like
sure.
those 3 steps every week is exhausting.
Yeah.
And I know, again, it sounds like woe is me. It's a podcast, but like, dude, it's
Right.
tough. It's a lot.
Maybe you can like have somebody help you out to where like they listen to the pod and then they give you like timestamps, so that way you just have to go in and clip. So that way you don't have to sit there and think about, even if it was Helena is just telling you like, hey, like X, Y, like this time to this time, like clip about this. I thought you'd be interested. If she did that like 5, then you pick your best 3 and be like, oh, okay, like I could see that. And then boom, export.
I like that. I think that's not like my where I spend the most time though. It's not thinking about like what I talked about.
Oh, interesting.
Because I can remember the stuff that I've talked about throughout an episode, and I know like you said this when I saw you last. You were like, you're going to know like what the best moments are.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I thought about that after that. I was like, yeah, he's right. Like every time I record, I know, okay, that was the best moment from that, whatever it was. The things that are time consuming is like setting all this up or like doing all the
Yeah.
side stuff. Like that's the stuff that takes the longest. It's not doing the actual thing. It's doing all the stuff to do that thing, if that makes sense.
Right, for sure. That's
Yeah.
fair. Yeah, setup takes like when I like had minimal amount of gear, like my setup time is around like 15 to 20 minutes, and now my setup time is like 25 to 30. And I know that 10-minute, 15-minute like gap doesn't feel like much, but like it adds up. Like that's 30 minutes like to the day.
Dude, it adds
that,
up.
Like, yeah.
Especially like on quote unquote school night, like when I have work the next day and like I have to come home. Dude, I bought a fucking table. Like I have a table in my room now. It's not my desk. Like I have a table, I have 2 lights, I have a backdrop, I have a camera. Like I have all this shit I have to set up, take down, and then like edit, clip, like all that in one day. Like it's starting to become this whole production. And
Right.
I think like my next like attainable goal that I want to do is like I want to start outsourcing like the stuff that I can so that I can focus on other shit. Like if that's just like bare bones editing the podcast, which like that's
Yeah.
the easiest. I think that the thing that would be realistic would be outsourcing the clips to be like, I want to get this clipped, because that's the thing that like I struggle with being consistent on.
That's a problem because that's the thing that's going to bring you the most return on listeners.
Exactly. That's my marketing.
Yeah, I guess like you only know when you feel like it. So
But what does that look like? Do I pay someone on Fiverr? Do I like fucking hit up my
like
cousin?
you
Like,
could. It's like, hey,
hey, clip this.
got some work for you. What does it pay? Like absolutely nothing, bro. Get in line.
I'll buy you In and Out.
I see people use Fivers. I've seen like a lot of agents and stuff use Fiverr for their editing their clips, and like it usually comes back so bad, like because it's like, man, it's not that like sometimes they find good ones, but it's usually just down resing it. Like they don't know how to transfer files properly. That's what it is. That's what it comes down to. So it's
Okay.
like it's losing like resolution when it goes from you to them and then back from them to you, and then when it goes from you to Instagram, it's like it's already down res like 3 times. But if you could like
Yes.
do like WeTransfer or Dropbox, then it's like, okay, it's like it went good that way, it went good back, and now we only lost once to Instagram.
Okay. Yeah, it's just like 2 pixels by the time it gets to Instagram.
It's like Minecraft.
It's just
bro.
like, you know how it's like 1080p? It's just 5p.
So you're saying like you need to like figure out what it looks like exactly for you.
Yeah, just because like it's also another thing where it's like, dude, am I like soft for outsourcing that and like not taking on the full responsibility? You know what I mean?
No, no, not at all. Like that's where you want to get to, like as quick as possible, because that's going to help you focus on the essential tasks that matter. Like the first thing, like it's like filming, editing, and then for myself, recruiting clients, right? It's like, okay, what's like the least amount of, like what is the most out of those 3? It's like, okay, now which one is the most like like redundant that's like that I can get rid of. It's like, well, it'd be the one where I'm not speaking with the clients or filming the clients. So it's like it's editing.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess that would be clipping in my case.
Yeah.
Okay. We're coming to realizations on this podcast, guys. Subscribe to this channel. Tap in.
Shameless
I like
plug
this, dude.
for the creative department. I like it. Do you have any advice for potters?
Don't give up. Just keep doing it. It sounds cliche and like everyone says it, but like, I mean, it's tough too because like I haven't really received like any, like, I don't want to say great success from it, but like I only have like 20 listeners, so like I don't really know the secret. But what I would say is like just be consistent with it. And I mentioned earlier like I have all this equipment, but like at the end of the day, like I didn't need this. I could have just done my phone. For a while I was doing like literally just my phone on. I bought like a $15 tripod on Amazon. I would do my phone, and then I had this. I don't know. This is like a $40 mic, maybe. You could do
Sure.
a cheaper mic, but like it doesn't need to be this high production thing. It's just like, and what I've slowly started to realize too is like, if you make good content and you make good, like if you make the content good, whatever the production is, like people will start to listen,
Fair.
which
Fair.
is apparent because I'm not getting any listeners.
Oh,
So
God.
it is what it is,
no,
man.
but I think like on the opposite side of that coin too, if it's something that I'm investing my time and like journey of the podcast week over week over week, if I see you like slowly like I saw you get the set, I saw you get the camera, like I saw you get the mic, like this is like, oh, Dom's investing in himself. So it's like if he could do the bare minimum and invest into himself, then I should invest my time into somebody that's investing. I think there's like a really good like psychology to it, to be honest. Like, yeah, gear doesn't matter. That's correct. Like you said, but also too, it's like over time, week. Hey, you want me to keep showing up? It's like, well, you should improve as well. Like, cause I want,
Yeah.
like what makes you think I'm going to come? It's like, you're the captain of the ship. We talk about this all the time.
Yeah, I agree with that. Do you want to explain that? I don't know if you've said that on here, but I agree with that a lot.
Yeah.
And I think about that. I thought about that ever since you said it when we worked together.
Yeah, so like basically the concept is you're the captain of the ship, right? And you have your crewmates, which is your audience, and essentially you have to tell them where we're going because it's not the crewmate's job to tell them where we're going. It's the captain's job. And the minute you start looking to your crewmates for direction, they're going to start jumping ship. And like that's like the huge reason why a lot of people like I don't know, like fall out of love with their content and stuff like that because like they're just trying to please the audience at a certain point and not be the captain of the ship and focus on like what island we're going to hit next.
And it is kind of weird almost when you hear people like at the end of their videos being like, okay, so what should I do next? Leave a comment.
Yes. I'm like, dude, why would you
Yeah.
subsep?
I don't give a what you think I should do next. I'm just going to keep doing it, dude. I have 20 listeners.
Yeah, basically. Exactly. And those 20 listeners with you for you. It's like they don't want like the minute someone else starts like taking the reins, they're like, oh, what the this guy's a pushover. This guy's
Yeah, and
you know.
along those same lines, I don't know if you said this earlier or like in your response, but another thing you've mentioned before about that is like, let's say that I say like, oh, what should I do next? And someone comments is like, make a video about you planting a garden or something.
Right.
And then I'm like, okay, so Yellow Shoes 805 said that I should plant a garden. So I
Right.
did that in this video. Then people are going to be like, oh, he just does whatever we want. Okay, let's start commenting stuff. And then I just get flooded comments being like, hey, go rob a bank. It's like, all right, well, I don't want to go do that. So then that gets
Yeah.
annoying because then people are like just assuming that you're going to just start doing everything that they're expecting you to do.
Like even with TikTok, it's like it works for a while when people comment like, "Oh, do this," and they do it, and it works. And sometimes it's funny, it works out. But it's like over time, over a long period of time, it just doesn't like really
Yeah.
amount to much. It's like you have to have the direction.
Yeah, definitely. You got to be knowing
probably-
where you're going.
And I think probably one of my like kind of closing questions here is like, what tools do you think are like underrated for creators? Kind of like a loaded question a little bit, but I think like things that kind of make instead of creators, maybe podcasters or anything like that.
If you go on social media with purpose, I think it's beneficial. Like I think if anytime you see clips of podcasts or you see clips of like whatever you're doing, like it doesn't have to be podcast. Like if you see stuff with like creators on social media, like look at it, talk about like, or think about like, okay, what is this that I like? Do I like the concept of the video? Do I like the set? Like analyze the video and think
Reverse
about
engineer it. I
yeah.
like that.
If it's not working, you could try and think about why. Like I heard Mr. Beast talk about this, and he analyzed like Colin and Samir's video and just tore it to shreds.
Yeah.
So if you can get good at like doing that about yourself and just be like, why is this bad? Instead of kind of what I mentioned earlier, like hyping yourself up so much so that you're just like out of touch. Like if you can get good at being like, okay, this is bad because of this, and taking ideas from other people, just stealing other people's no, but like taking like not concepts, but more like how they're doing stuff. I don't know, it might work.
I like when people are a little bit out of touch because it gives you a gauge. It's like, oh, like that's the buddy's in the deep end.
Dude, it's funny. You know that guy Bradley Thor on TikTok?
I
Dude, he seems out of touch. Look him up on TikTok if you guys don't know who he is. But he's funny, dude, because he's just like this lumberjack dude that he splits wood.
Does he just have like the overalls?
Yeah. And
like,
he takes his shirt off.
Yeah.
But my favorite part of it and why I think he's out of touch is because if you go on his profile, you look at the videos where it's just him and he's talking to the camera, dude, like negative views. But if you go to the videos where he's chopping shirtless, like everyone's like, yes, Bradley, give me more.
Yeah.
So it's
that's like, isn't that crazy? Like that's super fearful of like getting known for one thing, and it's like you have to repeatedly do that thing over and over.
It terrifies me. When I first got on TikTok, I saw some guy that he was just posting basically the same video over and over, and it was getting millions of views, and I was like, that terrifies me. Just being like the internet's monkey.
For sure. That's scary.
Yeah, dude.
That's super scary.
But I guess some other tools like just using like social media is like doing it with purpose instead of just mindlessly scrolling.
Yeah.
But I mindlessly scroll all the time, so I'm kind of a hypocrite. But dude, also again, cliche to say this, but this thing.
Yeah.
Everyone has one of these.
That's fair.
And like, dude, the amount of technology that is in your camera is insane. Like think about how much better this camera is and how it's evolved to than the cameras that have been over the past like 20 years. Like it's superior.
Yeah, and like I think about that too in the next 20 years, like we're not going to need the camera that's in front of us either. Like I love that.
That's nuts.
That's like I could totally see Apple be like, we want to take over Canon. Like
we're basically guys on this episode, we're putting Canon T65s inside every iPhone, whatever they are. It's going to happen. And it's just going to be this huge iPhone. Everyone's carrying around these just like
for sure
iPads.
Yeah, I can't wait. I think the future is going to get a lot worse before it gets better, and it probably won't get better.
It's probably not going to get better. I mean, everyone has a podcast now, so.
I mean, like, I heard, like, some crazy statistic. I think it's, like, by, like, Neil Patel or something like that. I could be so wrong, but he was saying that, like, a good fraction of them, I want to say, like, 70. I'm just throwing a number out there, but I remember it being significant. Like, they stop after, like, the first couple episodes.
Yeah, I mean, dude, like, I'm sure that people just realize, like, oh, this is actually really hard. Dude, and talking for an hour is so hard.
How many guests have you had on yours?
Let's see. I've had my brother, my dad, my sister Helena, and then I used to do it with my buddy. So if without my if you don't count my buddy, it's like 4. With my buddy, like 5. Or I guess 6. My friend Asher.
Nice.
Like 5 like 5 or 6.
I like that.
Dude, I know what's annoying is the ones that I did with the girls in my life.
The most views.
I haven't done one with my mom, but with my sister and my girlfriend, they have like over 100 views on YouTube.
Dude, the people are curious. That's probably why.
It's so annoying.
I liked your guys' anniversary one. That was cute.
Thanks. Thank you. I was feeling a little bit weird about it just because I felt like I wasn't on my A game. But
no, Helena came out swinging. I loved it. She just jumped on your head super quick.
She's a rider. I told her yesterday, I was like, don't listen to the episode I'm posting tomorrow. And she was like, I'm going to. And I was like, okay, whatever.
Nice. Does she ever give you any feedback, or does she she kind of just tell you good job or what?
Yeah, she does. I can tell too. I'll ask her like how the episode, I was like, what'd you think of it? And she's like, it was good. And I was like, all right. She's like,
you're like, yeah, this sucked. Like,
I was like, what happened? And she was like, dude, you just dragged on that topic for so long. And I was like, your boy's a podcaster. What can I say?
Dude, I love how honest she is. Like, a lot of people are not honest like that.
Yeah. No, I like it. It's just sometimes it's tough. Like, dude, last week, dude, this is so embarrassing. I'm saying this. Last week, I straight up asked her, I was like, do you think I'm funny?
That's the worst question to ask.
You know what she said?
What'd you say?
It just like kind of got quiet. She was like, she started laughing uncomfortably. She was like, I think sometimes.
Nice.
And I was like, all right, fair.
Yeah. Well, I think I think I like what you're doing. I think it's dope. I can't wait to see you like just keep smashing out episodes.
Thanks, man. I'm excited
Yeah.
for this. I'm excited to see this.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Yeah,
Excited
man.
to see where this goes.
I think I'm a little bit different in the way like than I don't consider like podcast is such a loaded word like in this like year. And I think like I'm more so like not necessarily in the realm of like you where I talk like I like talking to people. That's where like I really like feel like I succeed. And then like also too just like trying to get to like the root answers of stuff because there's like essentially no right answers. Everybody has their own right answers. But there's just like little things that people could pick up from others.
Yeah, everyone's just trying to figure it out.
Yeah, and I don't know, I like this angle. I think you're gonna see this, and you're gonna be like, "Damn, I like this angle for Al." Like, I think this angle works really well.
No, I agree. I think this went really well.
I think we've talked about this before. It's like everybody always wants to like put their input in and stuff like that, but it's like sometimes you just gotta be like, like this is my shit. Like this is my show.
Yeah.
Like even if funny or not funny, like I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
And like I'm gonna do it the way I want to do it because it makes me happy. Like over the long course of time.
Yeah. It's a good balance. Like sometimes you need your dad to email you and say, "Yo, you're talking about poop stories too much." And I'm like, "All right, yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe people don't want to hear about poop twice."
He's like, "Dude, yes." Well, is there anything else you want to like kind of wrap up, like last thoughts about potting or anything like that, or what?
It's definitely harder than it looks.
For sure.
But I mean, hopefully this pays off. It's a longer run thing rather than It's a marathon, not a sprint. But I'm trying to sprint this marathon, as someone said. I don't know who said it, but yeah,
That's
man.
dope. Well, congrats, Firing All Tuesdays every Tuesday.
Yeah.
Don
Subscribe.
Viola.
I'll subscribe to the YouTube. Don't check out my Twitter. I'll give you one thing. Easy digestible. Just check out my YouTube. Firing All Tuesdays.
Hell yeah. Thank you, Dom. Appreciate you for your time.
Thanks, Al. Appreciate this. This was fun.